Alright, the Canaanites opened things up here at Sekmem. They got the initiative and chose to fire off their bowmen, and they kind of spread out as well. And they did some significant damage, knocked a couple of units out. They also ran out of missiles in a couple of cases, but that's okay where they're kind of behind the line. They fired their bowmen first in order to kind of improve their chances where they could of running out of missiles with guys who are in the back. Probably won't get another shot this turn and will be able to recharge because they're behind the lines. These guys, however, are in danger, and these guys, of course, are right on the line and really in danger. Let's see what we draw next. I can kind of see into the cup, so that's not good. We get a momentum check. No harm in taking the check. I got a 4-liter, and I don't get it. Rolled a 9, no die roll of doom effect there. It's just a failed attempt. And now we have the infantry for the Pharaoh. Yeah. See, something tells me I really want to try rallying units. Of course, if I fail, it's no harm in this. On the other hand, there's this kind of soft archers side of things that I could hit. They could, of course, fall back, but that doesn't do me much good. Gotta think. Well, I used that in order to do a rally action, rallied a couple of units, and also pulled back from those archers where I can try to recover the units a little bit. Assuming the archers don't get another shot. Some attacks here on the flank and an engaged attack here. All of them went over to the Egyptians in terms of doing better. So they're beginning to really press the Canaanites down. And we get another pick. And I guess I don't have to hide what's going to happen here. I get to make a momentum check. It does not succeed. There's 2 more counters left in there. We're going to get an archer's movement for the Egyptians. Now, they're in an interesting situation where they've got these slingers that they can outgun. Trumping is so dangerous because if I trump, at this point, I might give them another shot. I'd rather not do that, so I'm going to let them keep going. But it's getting to the point in the game where I might have to do a trump in order to keep the Canaanites as a viable force. And the cup is empty. Our good old leader A here got an activation. He recovered a couple of his damaged units. I'm trying to look for where they are. One of them's under him, I guess, yeah. And the other one's here. Another unit got charged in here, destroyed a routed unit at the standard, but had to engage this guy as well, and ended up being routed in turn for that. So for our final cost here, we got another 5-pointer there. And it's again close to even, but there aren't a lot of infantry left for the Canaanites. They're all back here in Sekmem. We got some cleanup to do. The rally markers come away, and perhaps some of the low missile markers, for example, this one, he's out of range of this, so he's able to recover, and some of the Canaanite ones as well. Kind of interesting, actually. The rules for this allow you to recover missiles even if you're next to an enemy unit in a position where they can attack you, as long as you're not actually engaged by them. And I gotta flip these guys over too. Otherwise, we're up to a new turn. Egyptians open things up with the initiative, I guess it is, and chose to use their missile troops. They kind of shifted everything over and took some cheap, basically free shots against things, no fire back, moved archers from where they were firing at out of ammo archers. And now we pick another one. And we get an Egyptian momentum. It doesn't happen. Now we're at the infantry wing. Now, I don't want to trump this, so I'm going to let them go. There aren't a lot of infantry left. In fact, there's just these two. Everything else is routed, which may mean I want to move this leader back and start rallying stuff, but he's so bad at it that, well, I gotta think. And there's a fair compromise. Actually, the only thing he could do, he did a normal activation, charged in, knocked that unit back into the routed stack, and he's moving down into position to do this. The Labaya is the better commander to have rallying stuff, but I can't afford to use him because I've still got most of my missile units in play. Well, the momentum counter apparently fired off for the Sekmem, whatever they are. Yeah, Canadian. And they used it for missile fire. And this is really becoming sort of an archery duel. Almost everything on the line for both sides are archers. There's just this infantry here that hasn't been used. That's going very well because there were exposed routed units that have to be near that standard, and that standard's close to where the archers could reach, so they moved up and started shooting them up. And you can see that's going to hurt the Egyptians pretty heavily. They take another 10 tactical quality points, whereas Canaan only takes 2. Routed units are easy targets, basically. Not surprisingly, they're probably pretty shaken. And now we get the archers again. And, oh boy. See, if I try to trump in, but I think I got to. Alright, I'm going to try to trump in for the Egyptians because they're just getting hammered here. And they fail. That means the momentum chip goes back in and those archers get to go again anyway. More effective fire, largely because the low missile status that a lot of the Egyptian archers were getting down to. Just, a luck matter, but also being able to pick your attacks. It's no big deal that a Canaanite is out of missiles. He's behind the lines and nobody can shoot him. He's going to recover. But these Egyptians here, and the ones that died, have a bit of a problem, especially the ones that died, you'd think. It looks like Egypt's losing this battle pretty handily at this point, and they've lost the momentum chit, that trumping. There's still a couple chits in here. It's a momentum chance. We'll see. He doesn't get it this time, and they're kind of thankful for that because another round of firing from those guys and he'd be in a lot of trouble. And now his infantry gets to move. I'm not sure how much they can do. This may be a rallying attempt, but here's the problem. I don't have a lot of padding left. My army has been damaged enough that I don't know if the Egyptians can pull anything off here no matter what. Well, that's the end of the turn and it's nearly over. I made an assault, basically. And, partial success here. Some of these units crushed and knocked out a couple of these, but I did lose one of my big units charging up, taking the bow fire. He was down to a 5 and another one routed. It's just a matter of, I got to start doing some damage. And that damage, well, that almost does it. And then over here, we got 6 more. Which to me says the Canaanites have a lot of points left. They can afford to take losses. And they can play it kind of safe. They don't have to trump in if they don't need to. Anyway, we'll go to the next turn. After I take care of some bookkeeping aspects. Well, the Egyptians win the initiative. This can't be trumped even. And they're going to go with the infantry again. They liked what they saw last time, and they think they've got a chance to kind of start turning the tide. If they can get rid of some of these archers, then it's much less likely. But, any one unit and they're out of this. Well, that's basically the end of it. The shock attacks swinging around the back of those missile units, and I didn't even try to run away, but that would have been risky because I would have been running into other units, and who knows what happens there. Partially successful, destroyed the units, but these guys also died. Either one of them on a check for going in, one of them after the combat running in and got bow fire on them, And the turn is not over, however. So this is kind of interesting in these games. That's 6 losses for the Canaanites. There's sort of a bit of a moral victory to finishing them off. Now this is 10. To me, that means we're at 8 losses. I don't know how to record, how far negative you go. These little markers should, well, they sort of do. Should have a negative side to them. But I'll just track them over there on the game turn track because that'll confuse me less. And we keep going because it's not until the end of the turn that you actually check victory. It looks pretty bad for the Egyptians, though. Let's draw another chit. Let's see what we get. We get a momentum check, which fails. We get an Egyptian momentum check, which fails. Not a lot of opportunity here anymore. We get his ground wing, and I'll have to stop and try to figure out what I'm going to do there because this marker isn't here anymore. In some cases, we may have some action going on. Well, after a Canaan archery pick, they moved forward, did some firing, got another Egyptian unit here. That's another 3 more added on. We're down to negative 11 at this point. And there's one more chit left, which is the Egyptian archers. I don't think they can possibly do enough damage, but they're going to do what they can. We also managed to recover some of the Sekmem city units, just 2 of the shock infantry. Yeah, there was no chance of a catch-up. I did a couple of injuries, swept in and shot this guy up for actually 3 points of damage, but he was healthy enough that it really wasn't a big deal. Anyway, that's the Battle of Sekmem for you, and you can see the Canaanites actually won quite handily, and the Egyptians are supposed to have the edge here. So what did I do wrong with my Egyptians? Well, I think it kind of came down to who got the drop on whom. That initial charge by the Egyptians I thought was a great idea because the attacker does have an advantage, but I spent an extra strength point for an extra quality point to get that first shot in. Of course, if I didn't take it, I probably would have been having it taken on me without that penalty. I don't know how that works out because I have the better shock capability. I could probably take that blow and hit his shock units more easily. It's hard to tell. One thing I'm seeing, though, without the chariots yet, but especially like this is a really kind of nice light system, even smoother feeling than the Men of Iron system. The chip pull is working very well for making a very smooth, fast-playing, easier system. It's not like I'm not sitting here on every single activation trying to figure out, all right, what am I going to do? And do I want to trump in? And do I want to do this? And where's the momentum? And, I also don't have to do as much fiddly bookkeeping. Here's a problem with the Men of Iron system I want to point out, that seeing this one makes it very clear. Men of Iron has this similar route points type of system, except you have to pay attention to all the routed and disordered and or whatever they are units. They all count against you, and they're constantly flipping one way or another. And yes, it's a little bit more realistic. It's a little bit more detailed. Well, it's certainly more detailed. I don't know how much more realistic it is, but it feels right that, the army's shaken and it's easier to hit it while a bunch of it's routed here. But, it's kind of nice not having to cope with all of that. And I think a lot of the things that this series is actually doing is stripping away a lot of the fiddly aspects in both of the 2 series, in the Men of Iron as well as the Great Battles of History. However, you kind of wonder why there's a simple Great Battles of History system for this, because it is very, very light and easy. I don't know how much, I'm assuming the tactical quality markers are the final thing to go, basically. It may be necessary, though, because the chariots are going to be complex. They feel kind of, just from the rules, Like they're going to be musket and pike series as cavalry type actions. Just this swirling mess with them charging through stuff and all kinds of complex stuff that I don't know how that's going to all play out. Well, we'll find out real soon, won't we?